It is Sunday, and I'm getting ahead of the weekday game by making the most of what's in the fridge. Once a month for the last couple of months, I think 3 months or so, I have been posting Sunday reset videos. And looking back at those, what's really apparent is that every week is different, of course, and every Sunday to prepare for the week, I really need to do something different. So sometimes it's freezer meals, sometimes it's ingredient prep, and other times like today, it is just making sure that nothing in the refrigerator or pantry goes to waste. To get started though, Sunday morning, I like to get my bread going, and I am making a maple sourdough sandwich bread. This is actually my maple oatmeal sourdough sandwich bread. I just don't have any oatmeal, so I'm skipping that part. So I like to get the dough going in the morning so it can sit out and ferment all day. And what I like about sourdough, I mentioned this in a recent video, is that it is hands-off and you don't even have to worry about it for about 8 hours. We will get back to this dough later, but it did sit out and ferment on the counter for about 7.5 hours while I did all the other things I need to do in my kitchen to prepare for the week. I feel like a lot of people are really starting to feel the economic pinch. I mean, we've been feeling this growing economic pinch for a long time, but lately I feel like it's come to a head. And so what I am trying to do is get food when it's on a good deal and then either freeze or prepare it. So that way I'm saving a little bit of money, but I'm also helping myself out because I have things ready to go. So I got a pretty good deal on some whole chickens at Sam's. So I put one in the freezer and then the other one I am pressure cooking. And I have talked a lot about making a whole chicken once a week. So what I am doing here is I am throwing anything in the fridge that would be good in a broth right into the Instant Pot with that chicken. So a half gnawed on carrot that my daughter had, some leftover vegetables from a sheet pan meal that I made a few days ago, a little bit of garlic from my garden that needed to be used up. And then I'm pressure cooking this for an hour. And what I found is that a chicken in the pressure cooker is really done around the 35-minute mark. But if you want a really good broth, an hour is really the way to go. I am not much of a meal planner. That doesn't really come natural to me. Sometimes in some seasons in life, I'm better at it than others. But what I like to do pretty regularly for my Sunday prep is make really neutral food. So I didn't really season this chicken. I didn't do much to the broth. So that way it's really versatile. So I can use it for all sorts of different things for lunch and for dinner. And even if we don't get to all of it, I can throw what's left over in the freezer and then have some really easy to use chicken down the road. Whenever I am in the midst of a Sunday meal prep, I try to think of myself not just in the week ahead, but I also try to think of future me in a few weeks ahead. So it's nice to have some stuff in the freezer that I can use, but I also have stuff in the fridge that really needs to be used up before it goes bad, like these chicken breasts that I cooked in a sheet pan meal recently. So whenever I am trying to use up stuff in the fridge, I try to figure out a way to combine them all into one dish. So what I'm doing here is I am making a curry chicken salad because I can use up my chicken, the last of my mayo. I also have some Greek yogurt in the fridge that needs to be used up. So I can throw all of those things right into this one dish. So rather than them going to waste or not knowing what to do with it, it makes one delicious meal. So I am simply just cubing up the chicken. And then when I put it in the dish, I try to shred it a little bit, but I kind of like my chicken salad chopped anyway. And then I'm adding anything in the fridge that would be good in a chicken salad. So the last of my mayo, one thing I like to do to save money is use up the ingredients, of course, but not open anything new in the pantry until something that can substitute that in the fridge is gone. So I'm adding a little bit of Greek yogurt to this chicken salad, which tastes delicious. It's rich and creamy and it works great. So once that Greek yogurt is gone, then I'll open up the mayo, but I just don't want that yogurt to go bad. And now, of course, this is a curry chicken salad. So I'm adding in curry powder to taste, chopping up a little bit of celery and throwing it in there. And I like to keep some fall pantry staples on hand like craisins and walnuts because they can really enhance the flavor of some pretty simple everyday foods for the season. And then a little bit of onion powder. Really red onion would be good in this, but I didn't have any red onion. Sunday meal prep and resets for me are a lot easier if I keep my pantry well stocked with some simple essentials. And I actually recently posted on my blog over at moonandmagnolia.com a free printable fall kitchen essentials checklist, which has a full list of ingredients and supplies that make cooking for fall really easy. So that way you know everything you need for fall flavors. I'll leave a link for that in the description box below, but having those ingredients on hand like curry powder and craisins and walnuts turn what would be a really boring chicken salad into a really delicious fall dinner. We ended up toasting some tortillas and having curry chicken salad wraps with a little glass of apple cider for dinner, and it was so good for fall. Okay, this is a really easy way to use up extra milk in your fridge that is about to go bad. I am making a batch of homemade cottage cheese, and I actually made this in my early fall homemaking video recently, and I served it up with apple butter that was so good, but I wanted to share it again because I'm making a bigger batch, and I think this is something that we never even think about using milk for, and it's so easy. So all you do is take your milk, and in this case I had 8 cups of milk, and bring it to a 185 degrees Fahrenheit. Turn off the heat, add in vinegar. So for 8 cups of milk, I used a half a cup of vinegar. Let it sit for 45 minutes, and then you simply just strain it through cheesecloth or a towel. So here I'm just squeezing out all of that whey, and what's left are cheese curds. When you are curdling the milk, there are a few important things to know. One, don't use organic ultra pasteurized milk because it has been heated too much for the curdling process to work. So you would need to use like a regular pasteurized store-bought milk. And the other thing is how much vinegar to use depends on how much milk you have. But if you have a full gallon of milk, 3/4 cup of white vinegar will do the trick. So based upon that, I kind of guesstimate how much I would need. So if I have 6 cups of milk, I use about 1/3 of a cup. If I have 8 cups of milk, I use a half a cup, and a gallon of milk, I'll use 3/4 cup. I let the cheese curds chill in the fridge for about 2 hours or so, or even up to overnight. And then I add in heavy cream to taste. So for 8 cups of milk for cheese curds, I really use probably close to 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream to get the consistency I like, but you can add as much or as little as you like, and you have homemade cottage cheese. Let's get back to this sandwich bread. So this dough fermented at room temperature for about 7.5 hours. And now I am preparing a loaf pan and shaping it so it can do a second rise. So the bread or the dough is ready to bake after the second rise, which is when it has doubled and it's domed on top and it's about 3/4 of an inch above the top of your loaf pan. This took a pretty long time because I used fresh milled flour for this, which takes a little longer to ferment. So one trick for Sunday prep, if you like to make your bread once a week, is you don't have to finish it on Sunday. Your dough can go in the fridge at this point and cold proof for up to 3 days. So if you want to get some bread going in advance on Sundays, but you don't have time to bake it, make dough, cover it in plastic, put it in the fridge, and you can bake it at your convenience within 3 days. When you're ready to bake it, just take it out, let it do its second rise, so it's double domed and 3/4 of an inch above the loaf pan, and then bake it as usual. My daughter has this little farmer's market book that she likes to read, and each page is a different stand of the farmer's market, and there's one page that's all cheese, and she always picks out the walnut cream cheese on that page, and I've been craving walnut cream cheese because of that. So it works out perfectly that I have some cream cheese in the fridge that needs to be used up. This is so easy to make. It is 1 block of cream cheese softened. I let it sit at room temperature for about 2 hours, and then honey to taste. I would say that was probably 2 to 3 tablespoons of honey. And I like to stir the cream cheese and honey in together first, just because it's a little easier that way. And then a handful of chopped walnuts, a pinch of salt, and cinnamon to taste. I'd say when all was said and done, I probably added in about a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then I let this chill overnight in the fridge. And the next morning we ate this with that sourdough maple sandwich bread. I lightly toasted it and then added some cream cheese on it. And it was so good. I think the cream cheese might be my favorite thing for this Sunday reset, actually. But what I also really like about this is it takes something that, yeah, cream cheese is delicious. Who doesn't like cream cheese? But it's relatively boring and makes it so delicious. And what an easy way to use up really simple ingredients that are in your pantry and fridge. Last up on the Sunday reset is a pot roast. I had this beef that I planned on cooking a few days ago and didn't get to it. This is why I'm not good at meal prep, because life always gets in the way and I never do things when I think I'm going to. So what I'm doing is I am using the Instant Pot again for this, because the deal with Sunday reset and meal prep is if you are dirtying the Instant Pot, for example, once, you might as well go ahead and use it as many times as you can so you have fewer dishes to clean up. The Instant Pot was already dirty from cooking the chicken, so I just got all the chicken parts out of there, and then I seared the beef on both sides. Once both pieces of meat were seared on both sides, I then put it back into the Instant Pot with about 4 cups of beef broth to cook. For a really tender pot roast in the Instant Pot, for every pound of beef, you can count on 20 to 25 minutes of time. So this one took close to 2 hours to cook, which compared to other Instant Pot recipes is a little long, but it also is completely hands-off and kind of doesn't matter. And I'd much rather just have one Instant Pot dirty than an Instant Pot and a slow cooker, for example. Between the chicken and this amount of pot roast, that's kind of a lot for 3 of us to eat relatively quickly. So I am going to freeze half of this, and I'm also going to freeze the broth so that way we can have au jus sauce later or some sort of beefy sort of soup. And then we also have meat ready to go, and future me will be so thankful. I hope this video has given you a few ways to think about how you can use what you already have to prepare for the week ahead. Many of these recipes are available over on my blog at moonandmagnolia.com. I will leave links for them in the description box below. Also, don't forget to save any recipes in this video. You can pin this video to your Pinterest boards. Just head over to the video on YouTube, click share, select Pinterest, and add it to your boards. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and I'll see you again next time.